They promised the world with a wink and a grin, but soon as you turned, they plot to do you in. They'd sell out his friend for a pocket of gold and leave you out in the desert, bitter and cold. They'd sip on his tea while we toiled in strife, laughing at our struggles. They thrived on our life, but we're wise to their tricks, no longer their pawn. We'll stand tall and strong, and we'll carry on. Oh, we sing fuck Israel. Oh, they are snakes in a world of deceit. They are a big mistake. They'll smile in your face while they're holding the knife. Well, here's to you, Israel. We're done with your strife. Now, Israel, my friend, you can't run and hide. Your wicked ways caught up with you, and you can't deny the bonds you broke, the trust that you shattered. In the end, it's your own soul that's tattered. We'll rise above, leave your darkness behind. With true friends and love, we'll mend what you undermine.
We'll leave your darkness behind.
In the Middle East, where the desert winds blow, we'll build something better and let karma take its toll. Oh, we sing, fuck Israel. Oh, they are snakes.
All right, we'll let Wayne in here just a sec.
Of deceit, they are a big mistake. They'll smile in your face while they're holding the knife. Well, here's to you, Israel. We're done with your strife. So here's to the good times and here's to the true. We'll leave Israel behind, find skies that are blue.
What's better, press W for Wayne or B for Beatles?
We'll build a world of love and make it our home without you.
Wayne, how's it going, man?
It's going good, Ralph. Thanks for inviting me over. I'm excited to answer these questions.
You're welcome. Now, originally we were going to have you for a little bit of a debate tonight, but we rescheduled that for Tuesday because Halsey had something come up. So I'm still looking forward to do that, but I'm glad you could pop on here short notice. Now, did you watch the debate last night?
Yeah.
No, wait, hold on. You're cutting out for a second. Hold on. Wait. You're cutting out. Hold on. You're cutting out a little bit. Let's wait and see if it settles. Give it a couple seconds. It might. Or maybe quit and then rejoin. We have a little bit of technical difficulty here on the Killstream. It's live, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, like I always say. Spaced out. All right, I'll see if I can get these questions in here. We have to get... I hope that this is not a Mossad plot. Okay. Wayne, what's up?
Ralph,
Yeah,
good to see you. I think it's loading.
Yep, you sound good now.
Yeah.
The
good.
audio, there is a little bit of feedback when I talk, though. It's loud.
No problem.
Maybe just turn me down some.
Oh, yeah, I got a speaker going, so I turned that volume down, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it sounds fine now. Now, did you watch that debate last night? And if you did, what'd you think? We got to talking in the chat and here on stream, and we were thinking that you're a presidential candidate and you didn't get to answer any of those questions or get to be on the stage at all. I don't know if you ever looked into like trying to get into one of these or somehow see the rules of it. But we figured maybe we would just ask you the questions from last night and get your take on it.
That's a wonderful idea. One, I hadn't considered it because I'm not a Republican. I'm running as an independent because I'm mad at both parties for kind of sinking the American ship. And I don't know what the questions are, so it would be fun
we're about
to
get
them.
We're about to get them. I'll have to look them up real quick, but we just thought of this live. But
that's great.
I was talking to a Mexican recently, and I said, well, which part? They knew I'm a political science major, got a degree in that. I'm a political scientist, technically. They said, which party do you support? And I said, I don't support either. They both suck. And then they're like, yeah, that sounds like me with the Mexican party, is what they said.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
we're in this situation because both parties have been sabotaging America's progress for a very long time.
All right, let's see. Let's see GOP debate questions. I might just grab a transcript somewhere. Let's see transcript GOP debate. Who's got a list of the questions? That might be kind of hard to find. Let's see.
Maybe ask the audience to type them in the chat because one person will remember one and another person will remember another one.
Oh, I got the transcript here, so
Okay.
So I can do it.
Hey, I didn't know you were a poli-sci major. I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear you were a poli-sci major.
Yep, I'm a political science major, 4-year degree there at USC Upstate, offshoot of University of South Carolina. And my degree, which I owe them it's like $600, I guess, $700. So I still have to pay that, but I did graduate. So it's a long story, but my degree, in theory, says South Carolina, the University of South Carolina on it.
That's great.
I need to just take care of that sooner or later, but
You're
whatever.
making use of it, dude.
Yeah,
You're making use of your degree.
It's like it's more of a vanity expense because I would like to have it just to hang it up here in my house, really.
Yeah.
Because I'm not applying for anything that's going to use it, and I graduated anyway. I can just say I graduated because I did.
Sure.
So it's just having the physical degree, which is annoying. I'm not gonna lie, because I did earn it, so it does piss me off a little bit. But you know what I'm saying. All right, now what'd you get a degree in again?
I don't have a degree.
What? I thought you had a degree or two or something.
No, I went to community college for 5 years. I had a real estate license, one class left for my broker's license. I took physics, both 801 physics and 802 physics from MIT on the computer. So I'm interested in just learning things. If I had more money,
that's cool.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice to get credits, but I would rather sometimes I just want to learn something and I don't need the credit.
I mean, I guess it kind of helped me a little bit here, analyzing politics and helped me with writing and stuff like that. But, I don't know that it was worth the money that it cost, to be honest with you. But, I don't know. It
opens doors. If you got a degree, it's membership to a private club.
I mean,
if you got a degree, they'll open the doors for you and let you in. If you don't, then your resume won't even get looked at. It doesn't matter how smart you are.
It can be that way in certain cases, but if I hadn't been political science major though, I don't know that I would have just jumped into something like this right eventually and got into blogging and all that stuff, because I guess it did kind of lead to that a little bit. So wait, Kafer, you don't like Wayne? He said he doesn't like you, Wayne. How could you convince Kafer he's a potential voter for Lambright 2024? How could you convince him to like you and vote for you?
Well, it'll be up to him after I answer these questions. First of all, I want to get a divorce from Israel. I think Israel is sabotaging America's long-term success. They're basically a parasite who is stuck to us, and they're feeding off the host, America. And while they're stuck to us, they say, we're your greatest friend. No, you're our greatest parasite. Israel has done zero for us in the 75 years they've existed.
Well, they don't.
They don't do anything. We do things for Israel, but they don't do anything for us. It's like when your friend asks to help you move. We're helping Israel move all the time, but hey, Israel, we got to do some moving. Can you help us? Oh, I'm busy. Like, Israel doesn't do anything for America.
Let's see. Somebody reminded me. I saw Legal Man mention in chat. I'm gonna get him on the stream too. I'd already talked to him recently. He's down. Go ahead.
This makes people mad, but Israel did do 9/11. They architected it, they executed it, and they maintained the cover story to not let it out that Israel did 9/11. It's not a guy in flip-flops. To do controlled demolition on 3 buildings simultaneously, nearly impossible. So there's plenty of evidence if anybody's willing to even look at it.
All right. Now let's ask you these questions. Let me see. I thought I just had them right here. Oh shit, I closed them. Man, I have too many tabs up. What the fuck, Wayne? Oh god. Okay.
Yeah, I only do about 4 or 5 tabs.
Are you serious?
Anything more is just like Yeah, anything more than 4 or 5 tabs is a huge mess on the desk.
Well, I mean, I got to
Think of a
run this
tab as a
show,
piece of
Wayne. Like, I
paper.
can't just do 4 or 5 tabs.
Well,
That's
that's
just
true. That's true.
I have about 20 or I mean, I have like 40 here on the one you can't see, and then I don't know about 15 or 20 on the one you can see. Anyway,
I want to put this analogy out there. I see you as a conservative kind of guy. You're filling the void of Rush Limbaugh.
talent on loan from God, Wayne. That's what Rush used to say.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
you got a huge following, and I think it's super impressive how many hours you produce of content every day. It's great.
Well, thank you for that. All right, now let me. I thought I just pulled this up, but I guess not. Okay, I do have
look
it.
Look in your history.
Yeah,
look in your history.
Yeah.
I
have it still. Yeah, go ahead.
I think what people will like about me is I'm authentic. Sometimes I don't know the answer, and I'm not going to tell them to like me. I just want them to like me because what I stand for. And I don't know all the answers, and I'm open to new information and having discussions about how we collectively as Americans can make America in our image. Our ancestors and our grandparents and our parents, they made America in their image, and now it's our turn to turn America into our image. I'm age 55, I'm Generation X. The boomers, they're topping out at nearly 80 now, and soon they'll be gone. And then it's Generation X are going to be the old people, and then we have the other generations, the Zoomers, the Millennials. I don't know what they call the other ones. We have to make sure that we make America good for them. And some of the biggest problems are housing and enough wages to have a family. We shouldn't require people to live in perpetual poverty.
All right. Let me ask you these questions. Okay. Now let's see. This is the first question that you didn't get to answer last night because they kept you off the debate stage. The first question, the opening question, is for all of you. Now, I guess this is about Trump and them winning. So let me ask you, how would you defeat Donald Trump if you had to run against him, which you probably would?
Yeah. Well, Donald Trump is basically a glorified golf coach. He said he wouldn't play golf, and in the first year, he played 100 days of golf. He said he'd build a wall. He didn't. He said he'd drain the swamp. He didn't. He had 4 years to get those 2 simple things done. He could have put up a chain link fence. It's only 1,400 miles. He could have put up a chain link fence. He didn't make any attempts to drain the swamp. What he did do was kiss Israel's ass the whole time. And he let his children get enriched. There's a law. It's some kind of code, 1803, something like that. You're not allowed to have your children working in the White House. It's against the rules. And they got around it by not drawing a salary. So he had his opportunity. He's like a baseball player, and he's like, I'm going to hit home runs every time I swing the bat with one hand. And he got up the bat, and he never hit any home runs for 4 years. He struck out for 4 years. So we don't need a lazy, fat liar in the White House who's losing his marbles. He's just old, and he's a silver spoon kid. He inherited $250 million and lost it. Come on. He's not a success. He's a pathological liar. And we need somebody who's honest, somebody who's knows how America works. I'm a computer programmer. I know all these different things of what makes the modern world the way it is. I know about how our Federal Reserve is a private bank. It's not even part of the American government. It's a private bank with a federal sounding name. We got to get rid of these little fiefdoms, these different parasites that suck off America, these entrenched bureaucrats who are not elected, but they shape how America's future is dictated. So I would defeat Donald Trump with my campaign promises. I would ask Donald Trump, where are your promises? What are you going to be working on? The role of the president is a project manager. He has goals, and he's going to get that accomplished during his 4 years. So I've got a huge list of campaign promises.
But wait, okay, that's a good answer there. But how would you actually beat him, though?
Well, beating him is another thing because he's a Republican. Then there's the Democrats, and as a third party, it's the person who is elected isn't the person with the most votes. It's the person with the most electoral votes.
Correct.
And so I would have to make a strong value proposition to the Democratic electoral votes and the Republican electoral votes that I could become a neutral third-party middleman to bring both parties together, forgive them for the sins of the past, and let's move forward on aggressive, proactive, future-changing initiatives, such as anti-gravity. We don't need fuel-efficient cars if we can drive from Los Angeles to New York in 5 minutes with anti-gravity. It doesn't use much electricity. There's ways to pull electricity out of the air that is being withheld from us. We have our own thing called the Alien Reproduction Vehicle. It's a man-made UFO that functions like an alien UFO where it generates its own power and it flies against the gravity of Earth very quickly. But this is all the guy who was in charge of Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, Ben Rich, for 30 years at his retirement speech says, we have the ability to travel to the stars and back. We have technology that would make George Lucas jealous. If you can think of it, we have already done it, except it's locked up in black projects and it would take an act of God to get it released.
Now, so you think you could maybe make a play at the vote of the electors there and peel some of those off, or like an
Yeah, I do. I think I
strategy?
could say.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, it's an electoral college strategy saying we've all tried Democrats for years. We've tried Republicans for years. We've never tried an independent. Let's have an independent president who's neutral of both parties. I've been a registered Democrat, and I've been a registered Republican, and I've been a registered Libertarian. So let's have a neutral president who's not part of both political parties. So I can say, quit fighting, you guys. Remember why we're here. We're here to vote on behalf of our American population. We need to make their life better because the life of a Democrat, of a senator or a congressman is already enriched. They're already getting a big salary. Their life is cozy. They have good insurance. They don't have to worry anymore. They're taken care of, and it's their job to take care of the rest of America.
Now, I see somebody in chat asking, like Kanye running for president, would you let Donald Trump be your vice president?
Would I let Donald Trump be my vice president? Yeah, but I've got some other vice presidents I would like. I would like Alex Jones to be my vice president or Joe Rogan to be my vice president. The reason I like Jones and Joe Rogan is both of them are really educated as far as truth seeking. Instead of saying the word conspiracy theory, I want to call it truth seeking and exotic technology. They've heard all the stories. They know a lot about the history. And there's a lot more to the fabric of America. There's a lot more to the fabric of the world. And we need deep intellectuals that can that have a grasp of everything that's been going on and all the new information, and that can say, you know what, Wayne's actually probably right, that anti-gravity is real. They're probably hiding it because it allows the oil companies to maintain their power structure. And then you have the power structure of the automobile industries, which are the big brother of the oil industry. They go hand in hand. That's like those two industries right there are, I think it's 80% of the global economy, building cars and oil. Everything revolves around those two things. So anti-gravity kind of makes that a little bit obsolete. The car industry would transition over to the anti-gravity industry. And then there's also the ability with this technology, most likely, to build stargates to leave the Earth. And we're not Star Trek, like taking a long time to get to another planet. We can warp drive and Stargate are, to me, the same thing. And so we can start stargating to any place we want. So the problems that we have on Earth right now would be gone because we can go to a place where we don't perceive problems.
All right, let me ask you the next question. We're going to turn now to the challenges facing the next commander-in-chief. You'll be fielding this question from me, the moderator, of course, and the Republican Jewish Coalition. So as we continue forward, the Israel-Hamas war is barely a month old. Tonight, Israeli troops are fighting inside Gaza City with over 200 hostages who remain captive. As President of the United States, what would you be urging Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to do at this moment? Mr. Lambright.
Thank you. Well, we know what a bicycle is, and we know what a child's bicycle is. It has training wheels on it. So I would encourage Benjamin Netanyahu to go in his garage and take the training wheels off his bicycle. And then he can go down the path of life alone without America. We have in America, we have something called separation of synagogue and state. The federal government has nothing to do with religion. And Israel is not our responsibility. They have dug their own grave. It's their problem. Hamas is most likely a proxy army of Israel. Israel created a secondary oppositional army that's a proxy army like ISIS, and they paid people to attack their own nation. They paid people to kill their own citizens so they would have the excuse to invade Gaza. Yeah. We just have to get rid of Israel. I don't care about Israel. I would pass a law that we can never mention Israel again in the House and the Senate, ever.
Just
total
can't
divorce.
Even say their name.
Total Israel
like
divorce.
Yeah.
We're in a dysfunctional marriage with Israel, and we need a divorce. Israel's abusive to us. They don't provide anything to us. They're cheating on us. They're lying to us. They're backstabbing us.
Too close to home, Wayne. Let's not use that analogy.
No, it doesn't. Israel is not home. America is our home.
I know that. I didn't mean that. Maybe we can use a different analogy. Yeah, I don't know.
Everybody's brainwashed by Israel.
I'm hearing some familiarities there.
I did convert to Judaism, so I like the Jews of Israel. I don't like their government. I don't like what they're doing. If you look at the Balfour Declaration, like 1912, it says to create a Jewish state in Palestine, and that when they do move there, that all the religious people will live in harmony together. Nobody will be deprived of their religion or treated any differently. And that's not the case right now. The people of Gaza are in an open-air prison, and it's apartheid.
All right, now let's see here. Let's see. Okay, so here's a question from the Republican Jewish Coalition, Wayne. Given attacks by Iranian-backed proxy groups on U.S. military bases in Syria and Iraq, attacks that have wounded approximately 24 of our U.S. servicemen, do you support the use of military force by the United States against Iran, Wayne?
Absolutely not. We have no business being in innocent Syria. Syria is a sovereign nation that we are the invader in. We've done home invasion. Syria is not America. We are there stealing their natural resources, oil. We need to get the fuck out of Syria, which is a state that there's Christians and Muslims that live in harmony, and that bothers Israel. So they destabilize Syria to steal their resources.
All right.
Like America is the biggest bully on earth.
All right, now let's see. Here's another question from the Republican Jewish Coalition. They really want to question you tonight. They said, you're getting extra scrutiny from them. It says, Jewish students across the country are threatened and under attack, Wayne. What do you say to Jewish students on college campuses who feel unsafe given the dramatic rise in anti-Semitism? And what do you say to university presidents and college presidents who have not met the moral clarity moment to forcefully condemn Hamas terrorism, Wayne?
I'm a Jew, and I face anti-Semitism, and that's an opportunity for me to make friends with people, and it would be arrogant for me to expect everybody to love me, okay? I don't care if they hate me. They're allowed to hate anybody they want. That is their own personal mindset. I want them to judge me on my individual behavior. So if I walk around like a perpetual victim, enough about me. What do you think about me? If the conversation's always about me, then that makes me a narcissist. All right. So I don't want to be perceived as a narcissist. So I'm going to have a dialogue. I'm going to ask people about them. I'm going to find out what they want out of life. It's not about me. It's about all of us. And Jews are not the victim. Jews are the victimizer. They're the ones who are saying that we're weak and we're not being taken care of. That's not true. Jews are a privileged class. They hold more, they're overrepresented in government. They're 2% of the population, but hold 40% of the positions of power in government and maybe 70% of the positions in corporate structure. So Jews are super overrepresented as being victimized. They're not victimized. They're the victimizer. When they don't get what they want, they bully everybody. They can't, they're gloating on social media about how they're getting everybody fired. If I live in California and if my dog was kidnapped and I made a my dog was kidnapped poster and I got on an airplane to Germany to post the photos, why would I post my kidnapped dog in Germany? That's 7,000 miles away. I would do it locally. So they're posting these kidnapped posters in America of people that are 6,000 miles away. It's not relevant. It's a sympathy campaign. And then when you tear down that poster, they're filming you to say, oh, you hate Jews. It's just bullshit. It's endless bullshit because they want to be the dominant group of people managing the whole world. It's fucking nuts. They're not the best at it. They're not fair. It's nepotistic. They're nepotism. They're tribal. They're unwilling to play on a fair playing field. If Jews were baseball, if it was a Jewish baseball team and a Christian baseball team, the Jews would demand that they get 2 points for every home run because they're victims.
They're runs, but
you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay, now let me ask you this next question, Wham. Considering what you just said, let's see. As you know, a 6-year-old Palestinian American was killed in Illinois by his landlord. His mother was also stabbed more than a dozen times in what has been charged as a hate crime. What do you say to Muslim Americans under a future Lambright administration who are feeling afraid for their safety right now, Wayne?
Muslim Americans?
Yeah.
Many Americans feel for their safety. The best way to be safe is to be a good neighbor. You know, you surround where you live, you make sure you're friends with all your neighbors. Hang out with your neighbors, because then in the event that somebody is beating you up or taking advantage of you, your neighbors will say, oh no, my neighbor that I really like, somebody's beating him up. I'm going to come to the rescue. So when you're a good neighbor, that is a community that sticks together, that will defend each other from outsiders.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
Now, Wayne, an even more serious topic: war and peace. How long should Americans be expected to help fund the war in Ukraine?
Not a single second longer. No. Zelensky's so desperate for money, he's probably going to put on a business suit. Just wait. There's no reason to fund this war in Ukraine. It's a Christian against Christian war. It's a brother war. We, America, our CIA, undermined their government in 2014, did a coup d'etat. We put in a puppet, I forget his name, and then we got Zelensky. And during this time, after 2014, the eastern part of Ukraine, which are Russian-speaking, they wanted autonomy, or they wanted to be independent. They didn't autonomy. Thank you. And they didn't want to allow them to have autonomy. And then they started bombing them and throwing bombs over there. And 14,000 people in eastern Ukraine died. And Russia's like, boy, you're hurting my family over here. They speak our language. They asked politely for autonomy, and you're not giving it to them. Please stop murdering them. And they wouldn't. So then Russia came to their defense. And Russia was fighting with one hand behind their back. They could have done a huge, massive bombing of Kiev on day one. They didn't. They said, listen, if you don't knock this off, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And what makes it worse now is almost 2 years later, 400,000 Russians are dead. Well, it's easy to blame Ukraine, and it's easier to blame America. If America and the West had not given Ukraine all that money and weapons, there would have been less death on the Russian side, and they would have come to the peace table sooner because Ukraine would have run out of ammunition and financial resources. So maybe Russia wasn't expecting the West to come to the rescue, and therefore Russia's got a really valid reason to attack the West now, because nearly 500,000 of their people are dead because the West was doing a proxy war against Russia in Ukraine.
All right. Since 2011, defense spending has fallen. What are we going to get? Where are we going to get the money? And what would you build? And what kind of ships to deter China from attacking Taiwan?
Well, my defense policy is a lot different. Because of the anti-gravity technology, it basically makes all weapons and things nearly obsolete. You can build force fields. We can be to the other side of the world within a few minutes. So anti-gravity technology would change the entire world when it comes to traditional battle. And we could protect Taiwan with force fields. Like Russia or China could send over all the conventional weapons they have, but they would just bounce off the force fields. So I know that sounds crazy.
We should protect our country with force fields.
Well, and like we could eventually we have to put destruction on their soil to make them stop. It's like the British. We tried to become an independent America with pretty please, and pretty please didn't work, and eventually we had to go to bullets. So if we're trying diplomacy, pretty please, stop doing it, and it doesn't work out, then we say, then we're going to attack you tomorrow, and it's going to be very painful, and then we're going to stop in 24 hours and try to come to the peace table. But if you're not coming to the peace table, we're going to give you another 24 hours of destruction. And every time you don't come to peace, we're just going to keep destroying your country, your infrastructure, your manufacturing base. Goodbye, Three Gorges Dam. We can bring China to a screeching halt.
Yeah, that'd kill about 45 million people, I think, Wayne. Something like that. I don't know. Quite a few. Yeah, I've heard about that one. All right, now.
Like for anti-gravity, there's something called kinetic weapons. So there's not even explosives. You just drop them from a high altitude, and them falling to earth when they hit, it's like an explosion. So with anti-gravity, we could fly above China and start dropping very heavy objects, like basically just rocks if we wanted to. And since they're falling 72 miles from outer space, very quickly, probably Mach 20, when they impact, it would be like a weapon. So with anti-gravity, we can go into outer space within a minute, fly over China, drop our weapons, go back and get more. Our weapons aren't even explosive because they're just kinetic. They're kinetic impactors.
All right, I got a super chat question here for y'all. I'll ask that in a second. But for those who don't know, the Three Gorges Dam, there's about, I'm reading here, about 400 million people in the direct path of the tidal wave. So it says here about 50 to 100 million could possibly die. It'd definitely be one of the biggest, if not the biggest disaster in world history, if that dam got taken out. Now, yeah. Epstein, it'd definitely be on the list anyway. Epstein didn't says Wayne would look amazing with a toothbrush mustache. I don't know if you should do that, Wayne.
No.
No, maybe not. Powerchat.live/the Ralph Retort. Rumble rants as well. I'll try to make them pop on the screen again. I don't know why I stopped doing that, but I'll read them out. It's fine doing that too. Checkit.com/Killstream/pay-me. Killstream.live/tip. $sign Sunset Squad on Cash App. Rumble rants. Buy me a coffee. All that shit. Okay. Next question.
By the way, I can't see you, Ralph. I just see the K, but that's okay. I don't have to see you for this.
Okay. Can you see?
Oh, there we go. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I can.
All right. Former Fed Chairman Alan Greenspan warned us when he said deficit spending is simply a scheme for the confiscation of wealth. Deficit spending can cause inflation, which eats away at your savings, even if you don't see it at first. Is there a solution, Wayne?
Yeah, there is a solution. People aren't going to like what I'm going to say. So I think we're going to transition into a wartime economy, and we're going to have more hyperinflation, and we're just going to have to ride it up. People are going to make, things are going to cost more, and you're going to earn more money. And after the war, things are going to settle. But we're going to go through we only have two choices: a wartime economy or pull back available capital, liquid capital. So no more loans from banks, and then businesses are going to close. Like right now, homes that are 500 grand really shouldn't cost 500 grand. You could build one for 100 grand. So they're overinflated, and there's not enough income to get qualified to buy that house. So one beauty of these overpriced homes is that they have to pay a lot of money in tax to cities. And I don't think the cities want to roll back their tax income. So it would be better to just keep moving forward with inflation and try to maintain the standards of living for everybody. Even though the prices are going up, everybody's making more money. One of my campaign promises is a $30 minimum wage, which I know sounds crazy, but Joe Biden in his first month in January printed 500% more money. So we started the month off with the original dollar left over from Trump, and then Biden added 4 new dollars. So our 100 pennies turned into 20 pennies, and then we had 4 new dollars that never existed that he should have given us more money. Like if I had 1,000 in my bank account, he should have given me $4,000 as a stimulus, and then I would have a total of 5. But he didn't do that. He actually stole money from every American and gave it to other people, like the stock market and the military. He spent it in other ways. So he actually robbed us. And the best way we all got fucked. So they're not going to unfuck it. The first way to unfuck it is to get rid of the Federal Reserve, to have a very, financially responsible budget where we don't print more money than the resources. Fiscally responsible. So we should go back on like a gold standard. They took us off the gold standard in 1971, and from right away we had like huge inflation, and they did that to pay for social services, and wages have been stagnant ever since. So our monetary policy is really at the core of Americans' prosperity. So we have to abolish the Federal Reserve, which is a private bank. You can't audit them. Where do they get the money from? They get it out of thin air. They never earned the money that they loaned to America. They just made it up. So it's a scam. And then they charge us interest on their imaginary money. It's a scam on top of a scam. And it's part of the Rothschilds banking empire that controls about 95% of the world's banks. That's where the BRICS is coming in. Like the BRICS should create a BRICS currency. The ruble, the yen, all those other currencies should make an agreement to make a BRIC currency, and that would trash our dollar. So this is why we're going to go to war. So during the war economy, it doesn't matter what the other currencies are doing because we're at war, and the winner of the war is the winner of the currency. So that's how we kind of make it right for America. So after the war, hopefully we win, then we get a lot of resources to build inexpensive consumer products because we won the war, and now we're taking those resources from our enemy's territory. Like after World War II, 1950s, we had great prosperity, housing and cars, and America was prosperous because Europe manufacturing base was decimated. So Europe couldn't make washing machines or vehicles, and all those consumer products came from America. That was the only place making them because we weren't bombed to smithereens. So I think it's going to be a repeat. We're going to destroy everything. Like I think America is going to destroy Taiwan, chip manufacturing abilities. So then with no computer chips, China won't have anything to make.
All right.
So we put China out of business strategically this way.
Now, let me ask you this. Let's stay on China. Last week, Congressman Mike Gallagher, who is chairman of the House Bipartisan Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, published a long essay on TikTok following the flooding of pro-Hamas propaganda under TikTok accounts across the United States. Chairman Gallagher called it shocking. He called the app predatory, controlled by America's preeminent adversary, one used to push propaganda and divide America, and he called it spyware, a means of surveillance. Do you agree with Chairman Gallagher, Mr. Lambright? And if so, would you ban or force the sale of TikTok?
If I hear you correctly, TikTok was used to spread messages that our government felt were unhealthy for the citizens to see. Something like that?
Yeah, he's saying that it's being used by the Communist Chinese. Should we ban TikTok or force its sale?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards banning TikTok because it's basically a news outlet And I've seen research, maybe on Tucker Carlson, that in China, when you see TikTok, it's very wholesome. It's good for the nation. There's no nudity or degeneracy. And on the American TikTok, it's nothing but degeneracy and subversion. I just saw a photo of the Hamas fighters. They had embedded journalists from CNN, New York Times, Reuters, embedded with the Hamas journalists when they were attacking Israel on October 7th. Isn't that suspicious? I saw a photo, and this famous Israeli guy leaked the photo. So basically, CNN, New York Times, and Reuters were going in to Israel during the mass murder from Hamas. They were embedded with Hamas. That's super fishy. Hamas, in my opinion, is a Mossad proxy army. They're a fake boogeyman to elicit sympathy from the West to go to Israel's aid because they framed Iran. How many people have Iran invaded in the last 100 years? I think just one, Iraq. They only had one war. How many people have America invaded in the last 100 years? Like at least 60 nations. So we're the bad guys, not Iran. And if Iran had no oil, we wouldn't give two shits about them.
Nady Basin chat says it's actually not that much different in China. I was just there. It's just pro-Chinese thoughts. Okay. Now,
I think it would be okay to ban TikTok because it doesn't fall under USA laws. And, but, you know, after we saw what happened with Twitter, before Elon Musk, Twitter was basically an arm of the government. Anybody they didn't like, they got banned. And I got banned. I got suspended like 6 or 7 times. They're trying to, you know, get rid of my free speech. They don't like what I have to say. And Elon Musk put it very well that previous Twitter was ultra far left, right over here. And if you were in the center, they considered you right wing. You could just have center thoughts as far as politics goes. But since the left was so far left, everything from the far left seemed Nazi from their point of view. So I think Elon Musk is doing a good job right now with Twitter.
all right, now
It's going to get better when he charges everybody a small amount of money to get rid of the robots.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about Venezuela, Wayne, where millions have fled political and economic turmoil. Many Venezuelan immigrants are settling right here in Florida. Former President Trump and current President Biden have taken different approaches to Nicolas Maduro's regime with little result. Former President Trump put economic pressure on Venezuela and backed one of Maduro's rivals. President Biden temporarily eased sanctions to encourage electoral reforms. Mr. Lambright, do you see the political situation in Venezuela as a threat to the United States, and what would your approach be?
I don't see it as a threat. Venezuela has the world's largest untapped oil reserve to the north of $15 trillion at $72 a barrel. So they basically have a huge, huge oil reserve that America wants to tap into for a low price. We want to get it for pennies on the dollar because getting it to our shore is just a hop across the Gulf of Mexico there. So we are sabotaging the political infrastructure of Venezuela with our CIA to force them to do what we want. Maybe a good strategy would be to offer statehood to America. How about we make Venezuela the 51st state of America?
All right, now let's see here. The biggest issue facing the voters is the economy, Wayne. This is a question that, well, I'll leave that part out. It doesn't make sense. As an Iowa voter recently told NBC News, how am I going to make sure my pantry is stocked without breaking the bank? You've all said the best way to deal with rising prices is to cut government spending, but that would take time to play out, and Americans are struggling right now, Wayne.
Yeah. Well, there's two things going on. Inflation is not keeping up with wages, and food is keeping up with inflation. So it comes down to wages. People aren't getting enough wages, and also many Americans are renting, and landlords don't really care about that. So maybe we should have national rent control, one. Number two, if you're a landlord, you need to get a license to be a landlord because landlords do horrible things to people. And three, offer inflation food stimulus. We could easily do some comparison, a gallon of milk was $3. Go with the organic milk, because that's more pricey. It was $5 and now it's $9 a gallon. So it's gone up nearly 80%. So we just find the difference. Basically $4. They don't have the $4 because their wages haven't increased. So we start sending people food stimulus, inflation, food stimulus, inflation relief. I get food stamps, and 3 years ago my food stamps were $120, and now with the inflation they're $291. So the price is nearly
cost
double.
of living increases. Cost of living.
No, food stamps have nothing to do with cost of living.
I don't
it
know.
has to do with the cost of food. Well, I'm telling you, it just has to do with the cost of food.
Okay.
So they give me enough. 120 some dollars used to feed me really well because the price of food was lower. And now with the higher cost of food, nearly double, it's more than double. So since food prices have increased, they're making sure that I get enough food to live. But since I'm on food stamps, they're taking care of me, but they're not taking care of the average American whose federal minimum wage has not increased. And like in California, they just passed a law making fast food workers get $20 an hour. And I hadn't had a McDonald's hamburger in probably a year, but I did buy one recently. And I asked the guy, have you got your $20 an hour yet? He's like, no, I think that's only for management. I said, no, it's for everybody. And I said, maybe it's coming in a few months. So I checked it. It's coming in April. And he's like, oh my God, that's so exciting. So what happened is the people working for hourly wages, it's still at $7.70 an hour, but the cost of food and rents have nearly doubled since then. So hourly wages should have doubled to follow up with inflation. Then business owners, Republicans, will be like, well, we can't raise wages because then I'll have to shut the business. Well, that's not true. They're charging a lot more money for hamburgers at different restaurants. And we got to get rid of this, like a restaurant server, a person your waiter does not make hourly wage. If the hourly wage is $7, the waiter gets paid like $2.80 an hour because they're going to get tips, which would be a fair hourly wage. We got to get rid of that waiter lower hourly rate and just make it the same as everybody else. Maybe we get rid of tips. They don't have tips in Europe. Well, in many places in Europe, they don't have tips. We need to make sure everybody has a livable wage. So many of these people are working multiple jobs just to pay rent, and they're barely making it. And this is not good because it creates animosity that they're not going to get to enjoy the American dream, that they're basically just a slave for life. And that's not who we are. America should be making the standard of living better every year because of advancements in technology. But with advancements in technology, all we're doing is giving more money to billionaires who don't use the money they have. Like if billionaires, what if it wasn't money, but they were hamburgers? So the billionaires got 1 billion hamburgers, and the average person's got just 100 hamburgers. And the average person, hey, can I have some of your food? They're like, no, it's mine. But they're not eating it. So like all that money is being wasted on billionaires, and money is like lubrication, and it's not lubricating the economy because they're greedy. Karl Marx called it premature accumulation. What we need to have is a super steep progressive tax. You make $100 million, 50% in tax. You make $1 billion, 80% in tax. You make $10 billion, 95% tax. We got to tax billionaires out of existence. Oh, Wayne, the billionaires said if you do that, they're going to take their money and leave and set up shop somewhere else. Great. I'll fucking buy them a ticket. Get the fuck out. Go make your Tesla in a place where people are stupid.
Wayne,
nobody's going to buy your.
What do you think about drill, baby, drill? Do you think we should drill for more oil in the United States?
No, we don't need oil. We have a way to make. So we can have electric cars without batteries. All right. We could make an electric car let's say, instead of the current Tesla has 14 battery packs in it, we could make a Tesla with a two battery pack with just a range of like 30 miles. And then when it gets on the highway, it could induce electricity that would enable it to go down the highway. And then when it leaves the highway with the self-charging system, then it's got batteries to drive to the next major highway that has the charging. So we just need to have major arteries have the charging system built into it. Then all the little back roads, they're never more than 20 to 30 miles from the major arteries. So we could start having more electric cars, and we don't need to have all these, we don't need the excuse being batteries, because we can electrify the highway. And also with anti-gravity, we can basically zoom. We can just go, if you want to know the truth about anti-gravity, there was that Operation High Jump where Admiral Byrd, a very prestigious naval admiral, went to Antarctica, and he says he was fighting an opponent that had the ability to fly to the North Pole and the South Pole within seconds. So UFO technology has the ability to fly super quickly, and it doesn't run on diesel or gasoline. It runs on a secret power source, and our government figured out what it is. I think I know what it is, and it's basically a hollow tube, non-ferrous glass with mercury, and when you spin mercury quickly, it makes more electricity than it takes to spin it, and you're spinning it inside a coil, and that's the alien reproduction vehicle. So I really believe that they're just withholding all this stuff. The reason is because our enemies don't have the ability to kill and drill. They can't start drilling oil. A gallon of gasoline is worth 30 human hours of productivity. Either digging a ditch or a gallon in the tractor, that ditch is still going to get dug. So without oil, they can only use manpower to get their life modernized. And we are very, in a way, racist. We don't want our enemy modernized because they hate us so much, they might build steel factories to make tanks and airplanes to come kill us. We've created so much animosity. So what we should do is befriend everybody with advanced technology, higher standards of living, better healthcare, just basically lots of entertainment and luxury, you know, big screen TVs, video games, and drugs. Nobody's going to want to fight us. That's how they pacified America from revolting. And that's what the New World Order says. What are you going to do with all the useless eaters who won't have jobs anymore? Drugs and video games. And then with 3D printed concrete homes, we can make a home, 1 bedroom, detached, not a studio, living room, dining area, kitchen, and bathroom. One day for, it was $4,000. Let's say it's doubled for $8,000 bucks. They just print it, put a roof on it. We got a home. We could be doing those right now.
No, it's fine. I just want to ask you this next question. Americans in rural communities are being especially squeezed by inflation. An Iowa State University study found that last year inflation cost rural households about an extra $5,000. How would you specifically help rural Americans who are suffering right now? Mr. Lambright, you're a rural American yourself. How would you help fellow rural American?
Totally rural American. I live off grid, 60 miles from the nearest food. I would give them a stimulus check. Just send them, not a tax rebate, money that they can cash and put in the bank and pay for the bills. Money right now. And if the government doesn't know how much money, then whatever the safest number is right now, give them 80%. Then spend a few months talking about it in Congress and then follow up with another check. You're not going to do any wrong by overstimulating the economy. What are they going to do with that money? They're going to spend it. Where? Main Street. So all the money you give the citizens, they're going to spend it into the economy.
All right, now let me go through here. Would you raise the retirement age, Wayne, or would you be open to raising the retirement age?
Absolutely not. If anything, I would lower the retirement age to 60. We should not spend our lives as perpetual slaves. You know, rich people born in the money, they don't work. Why should everybody else? If you study Karl Marx, because he was basically bourgeoisie, he had the life of the rich because of his patron friends, and he felt sorry for his poor friends. And through communism, he wanted people to go to work for a few hours, then come home, have the ability to go fishing, then do some artistic work like writing or poetry or painting, and then do some hangout with their friends. Basically, the life of rich people. We can give that to people now. We've got so many advancements in technology. Like we even have tractors that can just drive themselves. They're GPS guided. We're making food so like mostly people are working today to buy crap they don't need. Yeah.
All right. Now, thank you, Wayne. When NBC News talks to voters, when I talk to voters every day, they all say that the border is a top issue, Wayne. It can mean a lot of different things. It can mean 2 million people who crossed illegally last year. It can mean more than 150 arrests of people on the terror watch list. It can mean the burden on states from having migrants move into their states from the southwestern border. But I want to talk to you about opioids, specifically fentanyl. I'll start with you, Wayne. Tens of thousands of American families have suffered a death to fentanyl. Young people sometimes die taking one pill. What can you do if you become commander-in-chief on the very first day to stop fentanyl and the waterfall of it into this country?
That's a great question. First, I would close the borders, but to address fentanyl, let's legalize fentanyl and let's give safe doses of fentanyl. Let's make it available either at low cost or for free from the government. If people have to do this drug because they're completely addicted to it, let's make sure it's in a safe dosage. What's happening to America is like the opium wars of the 1850s when England flooded China with opium and made a lot of addicts. So China could not be productive. So that's what China is doing to America with fentanyl. By flooding America with fentanyl, it's making people unproductive. It's putting a burden on the healthcare system. So the way to sabotage China is to take out the profit by the government producing fentanyl and giving it away for free. Just like we give heroin addicts the juice they drink. I don't know what it's called when they try to quit.
Well, it's not juice. It's methadone, isn't it?
Methadone. Yeah, they get high off it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think we should just give people free fentanyl. But they, like, if they're addicted, then you don't get a week's supply at one time because they're just going to smoke it all at once. So they only get one day's use of fentanyl per day. So they got to go to a place, wait in line to get their fentanyl so they can go home and get fucked up on their fentanyl. This is where my 3D printed concrete homes come in. All these drug addicts who are living on the streets because they're fucked up on the drugs, because ultimately they're depressed. They don't have a bright future and they have no reason and no opportunity to even start earning money because they don't even have a home. So by giving people homes, they can get stabilized, they can get mental health, they can get physically fit, ready for the workforce if they want to. But I'm going to offer universal basic income so they can just sit in their 3D printed concrete home far away from the cities and do drugs if they want. They can get a college degree on the computer and they can, like, I want to have universal basic income for people, for everybody, at $1,500, even if you have a job. So if you don't have a job, $1,500. If you have a job, you make the salary plus the $1,500. So nobody feels like somebody's getting a free ride. If you want to go tune out from life, you're going to have to live in a 3D printed concrete home in the middle of the desert like I'm doing and just be away from society. You'll have internet and drugs, a backyard to grow gardens.
Damn, that's kind of good deal, though. You'll have internet and drugs. Food, you know.
What more do you want? We'll teach them how to grow weed. And then some of them will be like, I'm kind of tired of this. I want a car. I want more out of life because they're ambitious. We give them a degree. They learn something that really invigorates them, a science or an art or poetry. I want to create an online Ivy League education through the computer. We don't need professors anymore. We can use artificial intelligence to make sure that they learn what we're teaching them. And once they've graduated with our online college, maybe we create some new writers and they write a book and that book becomes popular and they get money and they get to move out of the 3D printed concrete homes. Aspiration, people complain they don't have opportunity. So let's give them opportunity. It's nature versus nurture. Let's give them both. And some of them will fly the coop and some won't. And the ones who don't fly the coop were never going to fly the coop anyways, and they would have ended up being homeless right where they are right now. So let's take them off the streets and let's make being homeless illegal because we have all the 3D printed concrete homes way outside the city. So get rid of we'll call them riffraff cities. We'll get them out of the city, put them in these homes. There's all this federal land. When you're in an airplane and you look down, usually what you see is nothing but farmland. So we got plenty of space to put people.
All right. President Trump has consistently blamed the abortion issue and how Republican candidates have talked about it for their electoral losses. How do you see the path forward on abortion, Wayne?
Well, on the emotional level, abortion is murder for sure, but so is war. So either we kill them as adults when we disagree with them, or we kill them as babies because we don't want to have future disagreements with them. A lot of Republicans hate black people and abortion gets rid of huge chunks of black people. If there wasn't abortion, there would be twice as many black people in America. So in a way, the Republicans are overlooking what abortion is taking care of, their latent racism. So why would we want to bring a child into the world that isn't going to be loved? They're just going to turn out to be angry people. And in the book from Malcolm Gladwell, might be what the dogs, maybe it's The Wisdom of Crowds, that 18 years after Roe versus
He's Jewish, by the way.
Wade,
Go.
In 1973, let me just look here, 8 and 3. 1991 was the year. In the year 1991, nearly overnight, crime dropped in New York City. And the reason is there weren't a bunch of 18-year-olds running around without parents creating mayhem because of the 1973 abortion law. So since mothers could have abortions starting in 1973, they didn't bring babies into the world that would exist 18 years later, running around as adults creating mayhem. So abortion prevents mayhem. We don't want children if somebody isn't going to love them. There is something a little creepy called God's quiver, where women have babies because of government subsidies just to fuel the military. And they're creating soldiers for God's war. And I think that's an unloving thing to do. It would be nice to, like, as a president, I want to create an initiative to give parents like $10,000 per year per child on an 18-year contract, that we will give you this money for 18 years so you grow a really great family, but you can't get divorced.
All right. Now, I'm going to ask you, Wayne, we know there's more important issues that we didn't get to cover tonight, but I'm going to ask you to give your closing statement to focus on any topic you didn't get to address, and why you, not President Trump or President Biden, would be the best choice to tackle the important issues we discussed here and the important issue you're going to discuss at the end. So give us that issue and give us your pitch to be President of the United States.
Thank you, Ralph. It comes down to the economy and money. And it's not the volume of money, it's how money's created. So by abolishing the Federal Reserve, we're going to have a stable currency. And if we have a responsibility with our budget, fiscal responsibility, we're not going to spend on things we don't need, such as war. We have been led into war with false information, like 9/11. Israel attacked America. We should have attacked Israel, not Iraq or Afghanistan. So we had a 20-year war which drained the pockets of all Americans. So by not entering into wars that aren't just, if somebody wants to invade America, then that would be a just war to fight them back. But nobody invaded America. All right. We need to do an investigation into the 9/11 to find out it is Israel, and then we need to bring Israel to the international court, and they need to make reparations to Americans, and they need to make reparations to the people of Afghanistan and Iraq for how America was misled. Of course, that probably will never happen. The way I'm going to take America back is get a divorce from Israel, and no more dual passport holders in our government. You're still allowed to be a Jew in America. You're allowed to go to synagogue as much as you want. And if you don't like America, I've got reparations for Jews. If you want to leave America, we'll give you $1 million to move to Israel. You have to give up your passport. We are no longer going to allow a hostile nation, Israel, to dictate the laws and the behavior of the American government. We're going to take back our financial institutions from the Rothschild banking empire, and we're going to print our money. We're going to manage our money. We know how to be responsible. And without the tremendous drain of military expense, we'll have money for roads and social infrastructure that is we don't have money for now because it goes to the weapons. we have had endless war. Let's try endless peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wayne Lambright, for joining us this evening and allowing us to include you in some of the festivities from last night, since you didn't get a chance to participate.
That was a blast.
That was a lot of fun, and we're going to have you on again on Tuesday around 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern, where you'll talk to Halsey English about Zionism. We couldn't do it tonight, unfortunately, but I appreciate you joining me and taking it in a different direction, and I wish you the best, and I'll talk to you soon, sir. And tell people where they can find you or anything else you want to tell them at the end.
You can find all my information at lambright.com, LAMBRIGHT.com. My Twitter, my YouTube channel, all that stuff is there. Thanks, everybody.
And real quick, Adolwolf says, didn't Edison create concrete homes that could be set up in a day? I don't know about that, actually.
Yeah, he did. He made a whole bunch of molds, a whole bunch of steel molds where you would pour the concrete and then open the mold after it cured, and then you would bolt all the walls together. Yeah, he had patents on it. You can look it up.
Very cool. Wayne Lambright, thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you to the fans for all your love and support.
Very cool. Take care, Wayne. We'll talk soon.
Thank you for watching this clip. This is the CACA. Remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching this clip. This is the CACA. Remember to like and subscribe.